what's better than one 357 mag? A brace of them.
Again, we're out here just having some fun. Remember, black powder. Scratch. You see these scratch marks right here?
Hey folks, Manny CA with another educational, informational, and hopefully entertaining video on the shooting sports. This time, we're looking at the Smith and the Colt. There's nothing finer than a brace of revolvers. Oh man. And of course, the Colt Python. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Just a Barry White moment. Yeah, baby, look at it, 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 look at it. Now that you have gotten your greasy eyes all over this beautiful piece, which is better? Colt, and when I say Colt, I mean the old style Colt, first gen Python. That's right, first gen Python. Up against a Smith & Wesson, a classic 28-2, the Highway Patrolman model. Oh man, you can't get better than this. Now, which one is better? That's personal decision. And that's what we're here to find out. We're here to discuss the pros and the cons of both. Yes, there's cons to owning the Colt. I think that the Colt's popularity is due in part because of that. What is that series about the zombies? That's ridiculous. This country's already got its own zombies. But yeah, this gun's rise of popularity, just because of that TV show, has made these guns outstandingly expensive for the regular gun enthusiast. And if you could find one for a decent price, grab it, because you know what? Even if you've got to do a little work to it, which is another video, a future video, mind you, we'll show you how to work on these guys. They're well worth the effort. Remember, we never claim to be gunsmiths here, just people who are bringing you what we've learned over a lifetime of shooting. We hope that by bringing in material to your attention, it encourages you to seek out these fine, beautiful firearms. And of course, do your own work. We've got a lot of shooting footage that we're going to roll through because, hey, that's all part of the fun. We went out and we shot both of these side by side. That way you could compare and you can see what you like. Now, these two guys are from the same generation. That's right, they were competitors at one point, which is kind of cool if you think about it. I love revolvers, you folks know that. Long before it was cool to own a revolver a la Walking Dead style, us here at the channel have been shooting them. For me, there is nothing more spectacular than the Colt Python, or the D-frame police positive line, as it's also known. In my opinion, it is an excellent old design. I think that a Colt is a better design, but the Smiths usually have better craftsmanship. For all their outward similarities, there are notable differences. Colt's hammers and triggers are usually not as hard as a Smith. And remember, we're talking about the old school Colt version 1.0. Not the new ones that are coming out, which are nothing like the old ones. And if you're expecting to buy a new one and get an old kind of performance and feel, you're not gonna do it. There's no way to describe when you pull this trigger how smooth it is. You're talking about a gun that was crafted and fitted by hand years ago. You think they're gonna do that today for a $1,500 production gun? No way. You're not gonna find it. For a gun like that, you're gonna have to search out maybe the Korth revolvers, which start at what, $4 to $5 grand? And even then, you don't have the craftsmanship that you had back then with this guy. But I digress. Their frames are similar, and so are the barrels. Colt uses a tighter bore on the 357-38 platform at around .353 to .354 inches. The Smiths are generally .357. A lot of people say that that makes the Colt barrel shoot better. I tend to agree. The tighter bore induces greater accuracy. Both of these pieces are made of the same material on the same type of machines. Frames are forged 4140 alloy steel. Colt's cylinder latching system is a pin in the frame which goes forward and into a hole in the back of the ratcheting system. You can see on the Python, to open the cylinder, you pull back on the latch. And on the Smiths, you gotta push forward. Under recoil, this system goes forward. It surges forward under recoil. This tends to make the Colt lock up tighter under hard recoil. The Colt has the hand on the left side and the cylinder rotates clockwise. Smith & Wesson is on the inside. Opposite side. And it rotates counterclockwise. Easiest way to check which direction a cylinder turns is look at the locking lug on here. You see what they call the acorn right here? The direction it's pointing down, which means it's gonna turn this way. Same thing on the Colt. Acorn's pointing clockwise, you could assume the cylinder is gonna turn clockwise. With the Colt system on the left side and rotating clockwise, it's always pushing its cylinder into range. That means that it's always pushing against the frame. If you guys remember our previous videos, we discussed all about range and how, because double action revolvers, notably Smith & Wessons, are always pushing against the range, they're gonna get out of range sooner. Check our previous video about how to check for range and correct range that's not right. That's a big deal with double action revolvers, especially since they tend to be shot more. They tend to go out of range faster, and that means the cylinder to bore alignment gets off by 1/1000th or even 0.5 of an inch, and that leads to bad accuracy because your bullet is not centered as it goes into the forcing cone, resulting in shaving. Like I said, check out our prior video, you'll learn all about that. Colts, on the other hand, are extremely adjustable. If you know what you're doing, they're easy to work on. The hand timing relies on height, not width of the hand to rotate the cylinder. Remember, Smith relies on the width of the hand, while Colts rely on the height of the hand. And if you go back and check out a couple of our videos, we go into showing you how to adjust the hand for timing. Very simple to do. On a Colt, the more and the harder you pull the trigger, the tighter the cylinder locks up. This leads to the Colt almost always staying in time, much more so than a Smith, which is always, as we had said before, trying to push itself out of time. And that's just due to its design. Colts rarely need to be ranged due to their inherent design. This leads us to talk about yoke and crane alignment, which is a topic of another video, one that we've done already. Go on the channel and search yoke or crane alignment, and we demonstrate how to do it. It's the same as what we did on the Smith, only you're gonna do it on the Colt. Now, the Colt is less prone to cylinder cramping, and cylinder cramping is when the cylinder doesn't spin freely because of the two-stage hand and the ratchets are further out. If something should bind the cylinder, you can still cock the gun. On a Smith, if you have too much cramping on the cylinder, it's harder on the timing and harder to cycle. So, for example, if a yoke is out of alignment, if the yoke is bent a little bit, you're gonna find it's harder to cycle the gun. Another thing about the Colt action, it's a bit simpler with fewer springs, but the parts are more interrelated. And if you change one aspect, such as work on the hand, you will be adjusting other parts to resync, so to speak, the gun, retime it. And God forbid you drop the gun on the butt, you're gonna throw everything out of alignment. Colts are inherently harder to work on than a Smith, but require a lot less work than a Smith. Just the way that the cylinder is always being pushed out of range every time you pull the trigger on a Smith leads it to needing more work to keep it timed correctly. You won't nearly adjust the yoke and crane the amount of times on a Colt as you will on a Smith. I kind of think of it like this. Think of the Smith like an American sports car. okay, which needs constant attention. There's always something that could be done, but it performs on demand. While the Colt is a luxury foreign car that will work reliably, but when something goes wrong, it really goes wrong, requiring more time, more care, and more money to bring it back to operating speed. Now we come to the boss. That's right, our Ruger GP100. And you can see here where the hand frame is in the gun on the left side. Again, cylinder turns counterclockwise. What does that mean? That means these guns are always trying to be pushed out of alignment, just like your Smiths. On the Ruger, you've got two forms of lockup. You see this part right here? This locks into the front of the frame along with the back of the frame, and it's a more robust design. Hopefully you guys have learned something from this quick and dirty dissertation on the actions on the Colt and the Smiths. I like both. Hey, there's no gun racists on this channel. Which do I prefer? Like I said, I like both, but to each his own. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, or just want to tell me how much hot air I'm spewing, leave them down in the comments below.